You walk up to TSA with the same driver's license you've used for years. The officer looks at it, looks at you, and says, "That'll be $45. You're not buying anything. You're not upgrading anything. You just showed up with the wrong piece of plastic, and now TSA has a system that charges you for it." And I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like another clickbait video trying to scare seniors into watching. You've probably seen those. Seniors over 70 being denied boarding, all caps, shocked face in the thumbnail. Most of those are garbage. But here's the thing. While those videos are fear-mongering about rules that don't exist, actual rule changes went into effect recently that most travelers over 65 still don't know about. And the consequences are real money, real delays, and in some cases, real denials at security. I'm Jess. I flew for 16 years, and now I tell you what the airlines won't. Here's what changed. TSA recently rolled out a $45 fee for travelers who show up without the right ID. It's called ConfirmID, and it replaced the free backup system that used to exist. That's not a rumor. That's official TSA policy, live right now. At the same time, some airports are testing a new guest pass program that lets a family member walk you all the way to the gate, which is huge for seniors who need help. Shoes mostly stay on now at security, which sounds great until you realize TSA can still ask you to remove them. And knowing when that happens matters. And carry-on enforcement got stricter, which means your medication bag might get flagged at the gate if you don't know the exact words to say. The airlines didn't send you a memo about any of this. The airport didn't update you. The assumption is you'll figure it out when you get there. And that's where people over 65 are getting caught. In this video, I'm walking you through what actually changed, what it means for your next flight, and the exact steps to take so you don't end up paying fees or missing flights because of rules you didn't know existed. The new $45 TSA fee. Real ID enforcement is now in full effect. But here's what just changed recently. TSA introduced a $45 fee system called ConfirmID. Before this new policy, if you showed up at security without a real ID or passport, TSA could still let you through using a free manual verification process. It took extra time, but it didn't cost you anything. That free backup is gone. Now, if you don't have compliant ID, you either pay $45 or you don't fly. This affects seniors who haven't updated their driver's license in years, seniors who stopped driving and never got a state ID, seniors whose license says not for federal identification or federal limits apply in small print at the top. If your license doesn't have a star in the upper right corner, you're in this group. Here's how ConfirmID works. You pay $45, either online before you get to the airport or at the airport itself. TSA then runs you through a verification process that involves biometric screening, photo matching, and database checks. If they can verify your identity, you get a 10-day clearance window that covers multiple flights. If they can't verify you, the fee is non-refundable and you don't get through security. The part nobody's telling you. If you wait until you're at the airport to pay the fee and go through this process, TSA estimates it can take up to 30 minutes. That's 30 minutes of standing in a separate area, answering questions, waiting for database verification, and the whole time your boarding window is closing. I've worked enough tight connections to know what 30 minutes can cost you. So check your license right now. Look for a star in the upper right corner. If it's not there, you have two options. Get a real ID from your state DMV, or bring your passport every time you fly domestically. Don't wait. DMV appointments are backlogged in a lot of states, and passport renewals can take weeks. If you're flying soon and you know you don't have compliant ID, pay the $45 fee online before you leave for the airport. Go to tsa.gov/confirmid, enter your travel dates, and pay. You'll get an email receipt. Bring a printed copy or have it on your phone. That receipt is your proof of payment, and it's valid for 10 days from your start date. Here's what I hate about this system. It punishes people who didn't get the memo. Real ID has been delayed for years. A lot of seniors assumed it would get delayed again, or they genuinely didn't know the deadline had passed. And now TSA's solution is to charge you $45 for something that used to be free. I can't change that policy, but I can tell you how to avoid paying it. Now, the new Airport Guest Pass program. TSA is testing a program at select airports that allows a non-ticketed person, your spouse, your adult child, a friend, to get a gate pass. and accompany you all the way through security to your boarding gate. Right now, it's being tested at San Diego, Seattle, Orlando, Philadelphia, and San Francisco. More airports are expected to join, but those are the confirmed ones. You have to apply in advance. The airline issues a digital gate pass via email to your companion. They bring that pass to the airport, go through security with you, walk you to the gate, and stay with you until boarding starts. They can't get on the plane, but they can help you navigate the terminal, handle your bags, find a restroom, get you seated at the gate, and make sure you're on the right flight. If you have mobility issues, balance problems, confusion in crowded spaces, or you just don't feel confident navigating a massive hub airport alone, this changes everything. Your daughter doesn't have to drop you at the curb and hope you make it. She can walk you the whole way. Call the airline after you book your ticket and say this: "I'm traveling with a mobility limitation. Can you issue a gate pass for my companion so they can escort me through security to the gate?" Don't say, "Can my daughter come with me?" That sounds like a request. The phrase mobility limitation and escort signals that this is about accessibility, and gate agents are trained to accommodate that when they can. If this kind of insider breakdown is useful to you, subscribe to the channel. I was a flight attendant for 16 years, and I'm not going to sugarcoat how this industry works. Now, I have to be honest, this isn't guaranteed at every airport, and some airlines are better about it than others. If the airport you're flying through isn't part of the test program yet, you might get a no, but it costs nothing to ask. And when it works, it's the difference between a stressful solo terminal walk and having someone with you the entire time. Shoes. TSA recently ended the blanket shoe removal rule. For most travelers, you can now keep your shoes on when you go through the scanner. This is a big deal for seniors with balance issues, joint pain, or shoes that are difficult to remove and put back on. The catch: TSA can still ask you to remove your shoes if they need extra screening. It's not automatic anymore, but it's not gone either. What triggers shoe removal? Thick-soled shoes, boots, shoes with metal components, or shoes that show up as dense or unusual in the scanner. Wear slip-on shoes with thin, flexible soles when you fly. Avoid boots, heavy sneakers, or anything with a lot of metal. If taking your shoes off is genuinely difficult because of mobility limitations, tell the TSA officer at the start of screening, "I have mobility limitations. Is there an alternative screening option if my shoes need to be checked?" Most of the time, they'll offer a pat-down or use a handheld scanner instead of asking you to bend over and struggle with laces. The shoe rule change was about speed and efficiency, not comfort. TSA wanted to move lines faster. Officers still have the authority to ask for removal if they think it's necessary for security. The difference now is it's situational, not automatic. So you have more control over the outcome if you plan ahead. And that brings us to the changes most people aren't noticing yet, but they're already costing travelers time, access, and in some cases, their medication. Enhanced CT scanners are rolling out at more airports, and they change what you need to unpack at security. These scanners can see through bags in 3 dimensions. At airports with these scanners, you don't need to remove laptops, tablets, or liquids from your bag. You just put the whole bag on the belt and walk through. The confusion is that not every airport has these scanners yet, so the rule depends on where you're flying out of. At some airports, you still have to pull everything out. At others, you can leave it all packed. There's no universal standard right now, and TSA doesn't always make it obvious which rule applies. When you get to the security line, look for signage or listen to the TSA officer's instructions. If they say leave everything in your bag, they have CT scanners. If they don't say anything, assume you need to follow the old rules. Laptops out, liquids in a clear quart bag, pull out anything electronic larger than a phone. If you're unsure, ask, "Do I need to remove my laptop and liquids?" A quick question saves you from holding up a line or having to repack your bag at the belt. Unpacking and repacking a bag at the TSA belt is where a lot of seniors lose items, forget things, or get flustered. If you can leave everything packed, it's faster, simpler, and less stressful. But only if you know which airports let you do it. Now the one that's catching people off guard at the gate. Airlines are enforcing carry-on size and weight limits more strictly now. At a lot of airports, gate agents are measuring bags at the jetway and charging fees, or forcing you to gate check anything that's over the limit. That includes the bag you've been using for years that used to slide through without a problem. If your carry-on has insulin, a CPAP, prescription meds, or anything temperature sensitive, you cannot let it get gate checked. Once it goes under the plane, you lose access to it for the entire flight. And depending on the temperature in the cargo hold, you could lose the medication itself. If a gate agent says your bag is too large and needs to be checked, say this: "This bag contains medical equipment and temperature-sensitive medication. I need it in the cabin with me." Don't argue about the size. Don't say it's always fit before. Lead with the medical need. And most agents will tag a different bag or let you consolidate items. If you're traveling with medical supplies, put them in a small, clearly labeled bag that's well under the size limit. Add a visible medical or insulin tag. Keep that bag separate from your main carry-on. On most U.S. airlines, a medical bag is allowed in addition to your personal item. It doesn't count against your carry-on limit, but only if it's obviously medical. I've seen this go both ways. Some agents are compassionate and helpful. Others are following a strict policy and won't make exceptions. The word medical triggers training that protects you, but it's not a guarantee. If you're flying with critical meds, plan for the possibility that you'll need to consolidate or prove what's in the bag. Now let me address the elephant in the room. There are videos all over YouTube right now with titles like "Seniors Over 70 Denied Boarding," "New 2026 Rules," or "Fit to Fly Assessments Targeting Older Travelers." Let me be very clear. That is fear-mongering nonsense designed to get clicks. Airlines have always had the legal right to deny boarding to anyone they believe is unfit to fly. That's not new. That's not a 2026 rule. That's been policy for decades. If a passenger appears severely disoriented, unsteady to the point of being a safety risk, or shows signs of a serious medical emergency, the airline can ask for medical clearance before allowing them to board. There is no new TSA or DOT policy targeting seniors over 70. There is no fit-to-fly age threshold. Gate agents are not walking around assessing every older traveler and deciding if they're allowed to fly. That's a fabrication. Why did this rumor take off? Because real changes happened recently. Real ID enforcement, ConfirmID fees, stricter carry-on rules. And some content creators saw an opportunity to scare seniors into watching by mixing real policy changes with made-up threats. It worked. Millions of views. And now I'm seeing real travelers show up at airports terrified they're going to be denied boarding just for being over 70. What you actually need to worry about is the ID in your wallet. Whether you know how to request a guest pass, whether your medication is clearly labeled, whether you understand the shoe rule. Those are the real things that can delay you, cost you money, or cause you to miss a flight, not your age. Here's what else didn't change but is being enforced differently now. Lithium battery rules. The rule that lithium batteries can't be in checked luggage has existed for years. TSA and airline staff are checking more carefully. If you have a power bank, a battery-operated medical device, or smart luggage with a non-removable battery, it must be in your carry-on. And the battery must be removable by hand. No tools required. I've seen travelers forced to leave expensive luggage behind at the airport because the battery required a screwdriver to remove. TSA will not make exceptions. Gate closing times. Airlines are closing boarding doors earlier, sometimes up to 20 minutes before departure, even if passengers are still in the terminal. This isn't a new rule, but it's being enforced more strictly. If you're used to boarding at the last minute, that habit will cost you now. And connection times. Airlines are still selling 45-minute connections through massive airports like Atlanta, Dallas, and Denver. Those connections look fine on paper. In reality, if you need a wheelchair, if you're walking slowly, or if your first flight lands late, you will not make it. Don't book a connection under 90 minutes if you're over 65. The airline's booking system doesn't care if it's realistic for your body. That's on you to protect. I don't work for an airline anymore. That's why I can tell you this. The $45 ConfirmID fee isn't about security. It's about forcing compliance. Real ID has been delayed for years because states weren't ready and the federal government kept pushing the deadline. Now that it's finally in effect, TSA needed a way to make people actually get compliant IDs instead of just showing up and hoping for the free backup process. The fee is the stick. It's working. TSA reported that compliance jumped significantly within weeks of the fee being announced. That's not because people suddenly cared more about security. It's because nobody wants to pay $45. The stricter carry-on enforcement is about revenue. Airlines are trying to push more people into checking bags so they can charge fees. The medical equipment loophole still exists because disability law protects it, but you have to know how to use it. If you don't say medical equipment, the agent has no obligation to make an exception. The shoe rule change and the CT scanners are about throughput. TSA wants to move 2.5 million people a day through security faster. Anything that slows the line down gets cut, unless it's a genuine security risk. That's why shoes mostly stay on now. But TSA can still ask. It's situational efficiency, not passenger comfort. The Guest Pass program? That one's actually good. It came out of pandemic-era flexibility when airports were trying to help families navigate new rules. It stuck because it works, and because the optics of denying an elderly passenger help at the gate are terrible. But it's still not universal, and airlines don't advertise it, because the more people who use it, the more non-ticketed people are going through security. And that slows everything down again. None of this is designed with you in mind. It's designed to keep the system moving. Your job is to know how the system works so you can protect yourself inside it. Here's what all of these changes have in common. The information exists. The accommodations exist. The workarounds exist. But your ability to use them depends entirely on whether you know they're there and whether you know the right words to say. TSA isn't going to tell you about ConfirmID until you're already at the checkpoint without ID. The airline isn't going to offer you a guest pass unless you specifically ask for one. The gate agent isn't going to protect your medical bag unless you say medical equipment out loud. The system isn't designed against you. It's just not designed to explain itself. And that puts the entire burden of awareness on you. So here's what you need to remember. If your license doesn't have a star, get a real ID or bring your passport. If you're caught without one, pay the $45 ConfirmID fee online before the airport to avoid 30-minute delays. Call the airline and ask for a gate pass for your companion using the exact phrase mobility limitation and escort to the gate. It's being tested at select airports, and it's free to request. Shoes stay on most of the time. Wear slip-ons with thin soles. If removal is difficult, ask for alternative screening. Look for signage about CT scanners. If the airport has them, you can leave laptops and liquids packed. If not, pull them out like usual. If your bag has medical supplies, label it clearly and say medical equipment if it gets flagged. Don't let temperature-sensitive meds get gate-checked. And ignore the fear-mongering videos about seniors being denied boarding. That's not a real rule. Focus on the actual changes that can cost you time and money. You don't need to memorize all of this. Pick the 2 things that apply to your next trip. Maybe it's checking your license and packing your meds in a labeled bag. Handle those. That's enough. The rest you can come back to when you need it. Before your next flight, do 3 things. 1. Check your driver's license. Look for the star. If it's not there, decide right now whether you're getting a real ID or bringing your passport for domestic flights. Do not wait until the week before you fly. 2. If you take medication on flights, put it in a small bag with a visible medical label. Write down the phrase, "This bag contains medical equipment," and keep it in your phone or your wallet, so you have it ready if a gate agent tries to check your bag. 3. If you need help navigating the airport, call the airline and ask for a guest pass using the exact words I gave you. Even if you're not flying out of one of the test airports, the worst they can say is no, and asking costs you nothing. Flying in 2026 isn't the same as it was 5 years ago. The rules shifted. The enforcement got stricter. The free backup options turned into paid ones. But you're not walking into this blind anymore. You know what changed. You know why it changed. And you know exactly what to do about it. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next one. If you want to know what else the airlines aren't telling you, that video's up next.